Okay, good morning, everyone. You look sad for people who are coming for this conference on communication. So I just want to welcome you and thank you very much for joining us today. So my name, I've been introduced, is Sibusiso Moyo. I'm the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research, Innovation, and Postgraduate Studies at Stellenbosch University. So good morning once again, and welcome to the Communicating Discovery Science Symposium, which is organized by CREST. CREST is the Center for Research on Evaluation, Science, Technology at Stellenbosch University. I wish to start, of course, by making some acknowledgements. I want to acknowledge the Director of CREST and SciSTIP, Professor Johan Mouton. And I must thank, of course, Professor Joubert for really organizing this and bringing us together. And if you can just excuse me for a second, I just need some tissue. I think you've got some. Sorry, it's just the change over to spring, which is usually quite interesting for some of us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so the director, and then also to acknowledge Brooke Smith from the Calvi Foundation, who are the sponsors of the symposium. I saw Brooke. Where's Brooke? If you can just raise your hand so that everybody can see you. And then Rick Boschelt, the lead of the Scientific Advisory Committee. And I don't know where is Rick. Is Rick here already? Thank you, Rick, and welcome as well. I know that Rick is currently the lead Scientific Advisory Committee member, and he also worked as the Director of Communications and Public Affairs and Senior Advisor to the U.S. Department of Energy Office. A science director, and is now a long-time science communicator. I want to also acknowledge the panelists who are going to speak today, colleagues representing government departments, other universities, agencies, invited guests, staff, researchers, and students from South Africa and other parts of the world. And we've been told today that, of course, the symposium is sponsored by the Calvi Foundation and builds on the earlier work of the Science Public Engagement Partnership, SciSTIP, not SciSTIP, like SciSTIP, a collaboration of the Calvi Foundation and the United States Department of Energy Office of Science. So I know that the speakers after me will give more details. And however, for those of you, of course, who have access to the program, you may find also more details on the website, which gives quite a bit of information. The website, of course, provides insightful resources, and I quote that on the website you see that since 2019, SciPEP has hosted a suite of conferences, webinars, workshops about engaging different publics in basic science. They also commission social science research and landscape reports to further inform their efforts. So the findings are published there for your information. So about the symposium today, of course, the symposium aims actually to deepen our understanding of effective public engagement around discovery science, also known as basic or foundational science, by exploring ways to improve the practice of communicating discovery science. Also sharing insights and creating a supportive community of scientists and science communicator practitioners focused on basic science. Just by the check of in the room, checking your hands, how many of you here are mathematicians? Raise your hand. I saw at least one today. Physicists in the room? Physicists? Astronomers? Only one astronomer. I've got a good story about astronomy just now. Chemists in the room? One chemist. Oh, a few. Biologists? Yeah, you see. And already this tells you the difference, between the physics people and everybody and the others. So that's why we know more about biology than the other subjects. Okay, good. All right. So as a mathematician myself, of course, I know of very few opportunities and platforms where one can engage publicly on how pure maths, for example, and mathematics and physics, for instance, can be shared with the public and explaining how things work, especially in the African context. So I feel that this workshop is really essential to help us also to share some of the things that happen. And I was glad to see on the program that we've got Professor Knox Makunga, and others who are presenting here. So from the conference program today, there are highlights, of course, that also involve astronomy, which is one of the most notable fields of discovery science in South Africa. The symposium, of course, has 2 sessions with a strong focus on communicating astronomy. At Stellenbosch University, we host actually one of the chairs in computational astronomy, Professor Yinzi Ma, whom we have convinced in the last year, at least this year, to start a program of stargazing nights, which will help to encourage community members, students, and other people to really become interested in astronomy and possibly take up courses in astronomy as well. Of course, one of the challenges also remains attracting more women in science and so forth. So we believe that communicating and also sharing some of this is important to create interest. Other fields that South African researchers touch on in the program is botany, and Professor Knox Makunga from Stellenbosch University, of course, will be presenting the keynote. So we're really excited and look forward to that in terms of the work that she does. So Dr. Vijay Reddy, is Dr. Vijay Reddy here? I've not seen her this morning. She's not yet here, okay. So from the Human Sciences Research Council, we also talk to the South African public relationship with science as well. So many other contributors from researchers and communication practitioners across South Africa and the rest of the world will also offer an opportunity for our science communication community network with leading researchers and practitioners globally. So in terms of just a few things that I want to mention, and then I'll stop. I've got a small story on astronomy, a surprise, which I will tell you a bit later. So Stellenbosch University, of course, has a vision to be Africa's leading research-intensive university that is globally recognized as excellent, inclusive, and innovative, where we advance knowledge in service of society. And for this, we mean that we are committed to the pursuit of knowledge, research, and innovation to ensure that we get more benefits for society and with society. This is enabled, of course, by our staff and students, and who have a deep sense, of course, of purpose, and who try to make a difference to improve the livelihoods and the challenges, address the challenges that we find ourselves in. In South Africa, currently, the 3 big challenges still remain as unemployment, poverty, and inequality. And we recently also have, through the Department of Science and Innovation, an approved decadal plan which spans from 2022 to 2032. And in that plan, they highlight a number of areas, and some of these big challenges which are defined in the South African context, and they also cover the African context in general, climate change and sustainability, education, skills and future work, health innovation, sustainable energy, nutrition security, water security, high technology and industrialization, and then ICTs and smart systems. You agree that these also are not just South African problems, but African problems as well as if you look at Africa Union Agenda 2063, also it highlights similar areas and also are linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. So as science communicators, I think it's important for us to have that context, both the global, African, Pan-African, and also South African, and whichever country that you find yourself in. So what is important with listing these problems is that to find solutions, we need both disciplinary and transdisciplinary agendas that can help articulate societal, national, and global problems. COVID-19 is a good example, which brought many people together from different disciplines, and we saw that just one monodiscipline could not help to solve those problems. And then also the other thing is that, just to mention a few things, that so why is it important for us to communicate discovery science? So we believe one of the issues, again, is to be able to address societal challenges, informed policy making, evidence-based policy making, building trust, improving public understanding and support, and also inspiring future scientists, which I've listed. I'll not go into the details of that because you already know this. But I just want then to point out just a few things. How many of you ever aspired to go to Mars? Is anybody interested to go to Mars? Not in this group. I did meet one scientist, though, who was very interested. They were working on trying to understand the conditions on Mars. But just to show, I think, the role of basic science, for those of you who've done, if you look at space exploration, most of the technologies we use now, including your cell phones, come from there. So I'll just give you an example. So cameras, for instance. I know most of you will be taking pictures today or tomorrow. So the technology used in smartphone cameras originated from the cameras astronauts used to take pictures of the Earth. Did you know that? Yeah. The other one is air purifiers, right? NASA research on helping plants thrive in space led to development of plug-in filters to improve indoor air quality. And I think that might be interesting for Professor Knox, who works with plants as well, especially if we want to go to Mars. And then the Speedo swimsuits. Who swims here? I think some of you have got the suits. Yes? NASA helped Speedo reduce drag in their LZ racer swimsuit. I mean, you know that some of the suits are very light and they're quite special, so there is some technology in that. Cordless vacuums. This technology originated from the Apollo program when Black and Decker developed a motor for a portable drill to extract core samples. And then there are many other things that you find. Solar panels, for example. Where do you think they came from? We use them now. But these were originally designed to power spacecraft and space stations. Did you know that? No? Okay. So there's a lot of things which you can read about. But I thought that since some of you made a trip to come to Africa, how many of you are from outside South Africa in this group? So I'll read you a story. You might not know. So Trevor Noah, who knows Trevor Noah? You know about him. So I was looking for a story on astronomy, and I'm sorry to take a bit of time, but I thought we should start with this. I'm going to try and read, but the reason why we need evidence-based research. So this story, I'll just put it in context, and I must apologize in advance if there will be anyone offended. The intention is just to read the story. It's just one page. So it says the following. South Africa is a mix of the old and the new, the ancient and the modern, and South African Christianity is a perfect example of this. We adopted the religion of our colonizers, but most people held on to the old ancestral ways, just in case, okay? In South Africa, faith in the Holy Trinity exists quite comfortably alongside a belief in witchcraft, in casting spells and putting curses on one's enemies, okay? I come from a country where people are more likely to visit sangomas. Do you know what a sangoma is? Like, not exactly witchcraft, I mean, like a traditional doctor. Let's use a better word. Traditional doctor, okay? When you're sick, they can also heal you, so they're not exactly like doing bad things all the time. So I come from a country where people are more likely to visit the sangoma, traditional healers, known as, witch doctors, than they are to visit doctors of Western medicine. I come from a country where people have been arrested and tried for witchcraft in a court of law. I'm not talking about the 1700s. I'm talking about 5 years ago. I remember a man being on trial for striking another person with lightning. That happens a lot in the homelands. There are no tall buildings, few tall trees, nothing between you and the sky, so people get hit by lightning all the time. And when someone is killed by lightning, everyone knows it's because somebody used Mother Nature to take out a hit. So if you had a beef with the guy who got killed, someone will accuse you of murder and the police will come knocking. Mr. Noah, you've been accused of murder. You used witchcraft to kill David Kibuka by causing him to be struck by lightning. And then he asked, what is the evidence? The evidence is that David Kibuka got struck by lightning and it wasn't even raining. And then you go to trial. The court is presided over by a judge. There is a docket. There's a prosecutor. Your defense attorney has to prove lack of motive, go through the crime scene, forensics, and then present a staunch defense. And your attorney's argument can't be witchcraft isn't real. No, you lose. So if you go like that. So I thought that for astronomy, I thought it's also important. I mean, there's the story I thought might also be relevant around, why it's important to, communicate with people. For example, I don't think people explain what happens with lightning. If for a long time, my grandmother used to say, if you wear red, you might get struck. So, and there was no evidence to prove that might not be true, and that if you do something wrong, you might also get struck, by lightning, and somebody might send it on you. So, so there are these myths, a lot of myths that we have as well. So with those few words, I hope that you enjoy the sessions, and then that I hope that something comes out. But from the university side, we're really excited because it gives us a platform. Our whole focus is research for impact. So for us, if we can communicate, if we can have a platform where we can bring this to the fore, we can help to show value to society, value to the taxpayers' money, value to lobby for more grants and support, but also make sure that we can also share this with our partners also across the continent. So thank you so much, and congratulations again to the organizers. Thank you.